Alright, what's up guys? We have a new deck profile today for Tenyis. They have a terrific amount of support. Three new cards, but they're extremely good. I'll go through them throughout the course of the deck, but yeah, they changed the deck in a very impactful way. I guess let's get started. Here we've got, right in the beginning, three copies of the Tenyi Spirit Ashuna. This card changes the deck quite significantly. So all of the Tenyis, if you haven't ever played them before, if you control no effect monsters, then you can special summon them for free from your hand. And then, of course, you can use them to link climb into other Tenyi monsters, which are non-effect monsters, and then you can continue summoning others from your hand. So it's really, really cool in that regard. Then all of the Tenyis have a secondary effect, which activates in the graveyard. Basically, you banish them out of the graveyard or from your hand if you control a non-effect monster. You don't have to have all non-effect monsters as long as you control at least one. You can banish them out of your hand or graveyard, and then you can apply that secondary effect. For this particular one, and this is the new card, it's very, very good. You can special summon a Tenyi monster from your deck, which is incredibly good because it basically makes the entire deck searchable in a certain regard. Not only searchable, but you can summon from the deck, which is one of the more broken things in Yu-Gi-Oh! But then, as a secondary thing, not only can you special summon basically any monster from the deck, you can also you're also locked in for this particular card into only worm monsters for the rest of the turn, which is fine because you can summon non-worms up to summoning this card. So you can make your full board, you can make the Naturia Beast, the Appaloosa, whatever you need to make, and then afterwards end on summoning one of these. Using this card's effect, banishing it to summon another monster out of the graveyard, and you can, for example, like, let's say you don't have any non-effect monsters on your end board, you can banish this and then special summon any Tenyi main deck monster and then go into a monk just to end on some kind of non-effect monster, just to have your board a little more solid in that regard. But definitely a very good card there. And anyways, it's better than most of the other Tenyis were because at least you can go use it going first or second. You can always use it. And then we've got the Vishuddha. This is by far the best Tenyi card that's been printed. Same thing, you could special summon it for free if you control no effect monsters or no monsters at all. And then, of course, the secondary effect is you can banish it from the graveyard or your hand, and then you can bounce a card on your opponent's side of the field. Incredibly useful going second, and quite generally, this is a pretty much going second deck. At first, I built this to go first when the deck first came out, but as I played it more and more, I realized this is very much a going second deck. A lot of the effects have absolutely no use going first, this being one of them, and this being probably the best card in the entire archetype. Then we play another three copies of Tenyi Spirit Adhara. This one is, again, these are the three ofs. You have to play these at three because they are by far the best. So Adhara, same thing, you can special summon it for free if you have no effect monsters, and then secondarily, you can banish this from the graveyard to get a Tenyi that is banished back to your hand, which is just a free resource because you get to special summon, you get to link it away, and then you can banish this to get a free card back, and you can use it turn after turn after turn. It's a very good card. And you can also use yeah, you can also actually use itself to get another copy of an Adhara from the graveyard and then use it all over again. And most importantly, this card is a level 1 worm, so level 1 tuner, and it's also an earth, so it makes going into Adhara and the new Tenyi Link Synchro Monster very, very easy. It's an incredible Synchro Monster, and now it's even searchable from the deck because you can banish this and then automatically get to this. But it's a really good card. And then we play two copies of Shathana. Shathana is also an interesting effect. When a non-effect monster is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon that non-effect monster back to the field and destroy one monster your opponent controls. So good effect on that one. And you can also, like, let's say you have a monk, you attack with monk, crash into something, the monk goes to graveyard, you activate this engrave, banish it, summon the monk, pop a card, and then you get a free attack because it's almost like a second copy of monk. So it's good for that purpose. Then we play one copy of the Maputra. It's just for the name. It's this card, when a non-effect monster is targeted, you can banish this card and then negate the activation. This card is honestly not that good. When you think about the cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that target cards on the field, unfortunately, not a lot of them actually target non-effect monsters. You have stuff like Impermanence, you have stuff like Widow Anchor, what's it called? Effect Veiler, stuff like that that negate. Like, none of that stuff has effects on non-effect monsters anyway. And when I was testing it, like, I would realize I would just never use this card. So you just play one just for the name, just to have it, because you can now summon it out of the deck with this guy, so you don't have to. Like, let's say it does become a problem when your monsters are being targeted, you could just summon it off of him. You don't have to particularly play multiples of these, but you do play at least once, because the summon effect is a hard once per turn per card. And then we play one copy of Nahata. This one is okay too. When a non-effect monster battles, you can banish it, and then your opponent's monster loses 1500 attack. I guess that can come in handy sometimes. But I'd say this one is decent too. You just play it really for the name. And they're also extremely weak in terms of their attack. Not as bad as the one that's 0, but the one that's 0 is a tuner, and he does so much other things for the deck that you'd have to play him at 3. But these have like crappy stats. They are level 4, so you can go into rank 4s, but other than that, they're pretty buns. Alright, so then we have 3 copies of Mare. I play 3. A lot of people say don't play 3, play 1. Listen, man, I say play 3, because sometimes you see it in your hand, and it's a really good card, because all you have to do if you see it in your hand is you just summon a shaman, discard it off of shaman, and then the card you discard you just summon back. You really do want to see this in your, if you either you're going second, and definitely if you're going first, you definitely want to see this card. Either get it into the graveyard with the spell card, or you want to get it into the graveyard by discarding off that effect. But this is one of the best cards in the entire deck, because you can up to 3 times per turn special summon a free token. So like, this card is basically a 1-card Appaloosa. Not, obviously you have to go into like Link Spiders and the Tenyi, and like the Tenyi Link 2 and the Link 3 and stuff like that. But basically this card is like a 1-card Appaloosa, or a 1-card Mech Knight Avermax, or even like, you just look, yeah, it's a 1-card Berserker. Like, it can basically make every single, yeah, it's basically a 1-card Draco Master. Like, it can summon, if you resolve one of these, you can summon anything in your extra deck, basically, is what I'm saying. But really, really good for that regard. And then we also play, since we are going second deck, 3 copies of Lava Golem. I love Lava Golem because it has amazing synergy with this deck. Number one, you don't really use your normal summon at all with this deck. You mostly just special summon. Very rarely will you normal summon. It gets to the point where you'll go 3-4 turns without playing with a normal summon. But basically, you can Lava Golem your opponent, and then you can use Vashuda, bounce your own Lava Golem back to your own hand, and then you can Lava Golem them twice in a row, which is a really easy and awesome thing that you can do. But yeah, incredible synergy with the deck, and it is already a going second deck. And you have no trouble getting rid of Lava Golem, because you can, you have Nahata to drop it by 1500. You have this thing, which is really cool, because you can attack into the Lava Golem. Your monster gets destroyed, and then you use this effect to bring it back. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that you can do in regards to that. And then, yeah, like I said, bouncing your own Lava Golem is always fun. So that's Lava Golem, and then we play 2 copies of the Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, just to fix our hands if we need to. You can bump this up to 3, but I think 2 is good. You never want to see more than 1 in your hand. And then for the interesting stuff, we play 3 copies of Insect Knight, and 3 copies of Neo Bug, and then 1 copy of Goki-Po, because we are playing the Giant Ballpark, and I'll get to that in a second. Also, these guys are all level 4, and that's important because you can add Hara, and any of these monsters is a free Naturia Beast anytime you want. And Naturia Beast, as you know, is very good against random decks. Goki-Po also, when it's sent to the graveyard, or if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a level 4 insect monster from your deck to your hand, and then if it's a normal, you can special summon and then pop an opponent's monster with more attack than that card, which can be extraordinarily useful, because again, there's a lot of destruction in this deck. You get a lot out of nothing, and I'll show you how to do that over the next few cards. Next we've got Vessel. This is almost always a free +2, because you can send a worm to your graveyard, and if you control a non-effect monster, you can also add a Tenyi to your hand. So it has two amazing effects that facilitate the deck in amazing ways, because it can send Mare to the graveyard, and also it can search basically any Tenyi monster to your hand, and all you need is a non-effect monster on field, which is almost always going to happen. Definitely always at 3. Then we play 3 copies of Giant Ballpark, one of like the craziest cards ever printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, during damage calculation, so because this is during damage calculation, you can't get ashed, you can't get called by the grave, none of that stuff can happen to you because it's during damage calculation, and those cards don't apply during that time frame. So basically, if your cards battle during your opponent's turn or during your turn, you can make the battle damage 0, and then you can send a insect from your deck to your graveyard. And if it's a normal insect, you can special summon from your graveyard, deck, or hand as many copies as you want of that. So basically, you attack, like let's say you have, I don't know, this card right here. You attack into your opponent's monster, and then, uh, neither player takes battle damage, and then you can send Insect Knight to the graveyard, and then you can special summon, bam, bam, 3 Insect Knights to the field, which is incredibly good because it gives you a bunch of free monsters, a bunch of free normal monsters, which are, of course, non-effect monsters. And then it has a secondary effect, which is that if this card is, if a card you control is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon a free insect from your graveyard, and that has no level restriction. So if you are playing a giant insect, you can bring back a giant insect. But definitely very good in this deck. Then we play 1 copy of Set Rotation, 1 copy of Mystic Mind because it's very good for going second, 1 Terraforming because we do want to get to these cards, and then we play 3 copies of the Pot of Desires because it really does. The only thing that you're concerned about banishing is maybe too many of the insects, but other than that, you can basically banish anything and it doesn't matter because you're playing a bunch of 3-ofs. So who cares if you banish something? You're playing everything basically at 3 anyway. So definitely the Pot of Desires is a must. And then we go on to the extra deck. We've got some new cards in there too. We play 1 copy of Draco, Berserker of the Tenyi. This is a new card. Really good effects, very easy to summon. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can quick effect banish that monster. So that's already pretty busted. And then its second effect is if this attacking monster destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, which could be your Lava Golem. So you contribute to their monster, summon a Lava Golem in defense mode, and then attack with this. And then this effect applies, that you destroy that Lava Golem, send it to the graveyard, and this card gains attack equal to the destroyed monster's original attack, and it can make a second attack on monsters during the battle phase. So you attack your own Lava Golem, destroy it, send it to the graveyard, this becomes 6,000, and you attack into the next monster. So just crazy. I mean, yeah, this deck, I can't see why you would attempt to go first with it, because it surprises your opponent to such a degree. They won't be prepared for it, but they don't even realize this deck can actually go first extremely well. Then we play 1 copy of Naturia Beast, super duper easy to summon. It's just like I showed you, any of those insects and Adharo, which is now searchable. So it's incredibly easy to summon and really, really good against a lot of decks. 1 copy of Tornado Dragon. You have the new card, the Ashuna. It locks you into only worm summons, and this is actually a worm. And also, if, for example, they call by the grave this Tornado Dragon or something like that, you can actually bring it back with the effect of Adhara from your banner zone and put it back in your extra deck. So this card actually has a lot of synergy with the deck overall. It's really random that this card's a worm, but it's also very good for those reasons, because you can use the effect of Oshuna to get the, like, let's say Shatana out of your deck, special summon it, and then overlay it with some other monster and summon Tornado Dragon and pop a card. And it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of decks like Sky Strikers and Altergeist and other frustrating decks to play against. But definitely a lot of synergy with the deck. And we play 2, should really be 3 copies of Monk of the Tenyi. It's basically like the card you use to link climb. It's very good for that. 2 copies of the Shaman of the Tenyi. This card, basically, you discard a worm. You could discard a card and then target a worm in your graveyard, special summon it, which is definitely going to be Mare as many times as you can, because Mare is, like I said, it's like a free free, any card you want in your extra deck, you can summon for free. And then we've got, its second effect is when a non-effect monster declares an attack, you can just pop a card for free. Then we play one copy of a new card, Draco Masters of the Tenyi. This card is like broken too because, again, you can pop so many cards in this deck. Like in one turn, you can pop 5-6 monsters. It's like too much. But this card can't be destroyed by battle by an effect monster, which isn't like crazy, but it can come up. It can definitely come up. And then if you control no other effect monsters, you can destroy effect monsters your opponent controls up to the number of non-effect monsters you control or in your graveyard, which with this deck can easily be 3-4 monsters. And like I said, if you consider bumping up the monks, you can pop 3 cards in one turn with great ease. But yeah, definitely you will be popping a lot of cards. Then we play one copy of Berserker because he's like your biggest non-effect monster. And also with this card too, what's cool about this card, the Draco, is that since you are playing the insects, you are going to have an unnaturally larger amount of normal monsters both in your graveyard and on the field. So you can pop up to like 5 cards easily, 5-6 monsters without a doubt. But yeah, we play Berserker. He's our biggest non-effect monster. He's getting to the point where I might even cut him altogether because the monk is just better. One copy of Link Rebo for the Mare tokens. Nightmare Phoenix, same thing, Mare tokens. Proxy Dragon, Mare tokens again. Insector Pico Falane. This is for the insects. You basically link 2 of the insects away and then 2 of the insects away for something else. And then you activate the effect of Pico Flane, shuffle 3 of the insects back, draw a card, and then basically you have 2 Link 2s on the field, and then you can go into a Mechanite Crusadia Avermax, which is almost impossible for certain decks like Altergeist and Magical Musketeers and stuff like that to even get over. So it's really good for that purpose. Or you can go into the Appaloosa bow of the goddess. And then just to mention one other thing, the Shaman of the Tenyi also locks you into not using any effects, any activated effects of I think it's non-Tenyi. Non-Tenyis can't activate their effects anymore, but that doesn't really matter because you use this during your opponent's turn. This just has its protection effects, so it doesn't really matter. And of course, we've got the Naturia Beast that you use during your opponent's turn. So all of our monsters don't really get negatively affected by that because you use them during your opponent's turn anyway. But that's about it. If you enjoyed this profile, please leave a like, and thank you for watching.